Bullish global cues lead the Indian market higher. Nifty scaled 17,500, led by autos and the IT sector. All sectors trade with gains. Key indices outperform the broader market.
Over 5 crore shares of Zee Entertainment change hands in a big deal. Invesco's OFI Global Fund is likely to have sold 5.5% stake. 4.5% equity also changes hands in Sambarda Motherson, where 14.6 crore shares worth around 950 crore rupees were traded at around 65 rupees apiece.
Adani Transmission rallies after a strong second quarter operational update coming in. The stock up 3%. Container Corp 2 sees strong output in their throughput. Brokerage house Nomura gives a bullish outlook.
Two-wheeler upgrades come in for two-wheeler, that's TVS Motors. In 2 days, DAM Capital maintains a buy with a target price of around 1,400 rupees a share. UBS follows up by raising its target price to 1,350 rupees a share.
Aster DM enters into a joint venture with Saudi Arabia's Al Hokair Group to set up and operate over 250 pharmacies over the next 5 years. The stock up by almost 3%.
Well, a quick word on GMDC. The numbers are flashing for you on the screen. Remember, it's a weaker quarter because it's the monsoon. We'll have to track the performance from here on. For the time being, well, it's a better than expected monsoon quarter. You know, normally the margins I've seen, they get absolutely crunched in that quarter. Now it's still holding at around 32% odd, but in the last few quarters, it's come down from around 40% to around 38% to around 32%. The street is waiting by for, what's the outlook in terms of them diversifying. They're sitting on a good amount of cash balance. They have lignite as their core business, but the street wants to know whether or not there's an opportunity in the rare earth vertical. So that's something we'll be waiting by for the time being. Well, those numbers look pretty good. For an otherwise weak quarter, well, it's looking pretty okay. But let's get straight then to the management mangalam of Parle. We have Mr. B. Krishna Rao of Parle Products who joins us to run us through trends on ground, festive demand, as well as how input costs are playing out. Well, hi, Mr. Rao. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, before we get to demand on the ground, I'm just looking at a media article that's suggesting that Parle Biscuits is hungry for a Polish acquisition. That's Dr. Gerard. And that could be from a PE company, Bridgepoint. Is there any truth to this? Are you all looking at a Polish biscuit?
No, absolutely. I would not want to comment on that. I think there already there's a comment which says that though there was some discussion quite some time back, but actually nothing is materialized as yet.
Yeah, as far as I remember, Mr. Rao, Parle has never bought any company, forget Polish. Even in India, there haven't been as many acquisitions, etc. So by nature, you haven't been acquisitive. So where did these, discussions come by, and what exactly led to this? I mean, can you give us a sense of why did you even discuss in the first place, if at all you did?
No, so actually, absolutely, I'm not wary about the facts, and I'll not really be able to comment on that at all.
And were this to fructify Dr. Gerard's, would that be for the Polish business, or would you bring their brands into India as well?
No, Mangala, I'm sorry, actually. So like I said, absolutely, I'm not wary of any of the details. So it would not really be fair on my part to comment on this at all.
But there were some discussions earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
And of late, there has been no fresh talks. At least that's what you're telling us, right?
That's right.
Okay, all right. So we'll leave it then on that. The next time, maybe we'll try to probe you in a little bit more on that. Let's focus on the domestic business. We have the festive season that's already underway. What's demand trends on ground, if you could tell us, Mr. Rao? And more importantly, there are parts of rural India where reports indicate are still struggling. Have you observed the same? Is rural India struggling, or is demand as strong?
Yes, I agree. Actually, the rural definitely is to an extent struggling, but we are quite optimistic with that. We've had a fantastic season in terms of the monsoons, and we are quite upbeat that even rural would start reciprocating good enough in the coming times.
Can you give us a sense of what price points are struggling? Because I believe that, the 1 rupee, 2 rupee, rather the 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee packs would have the highest salience for you guys? I mean, how much does that account for in your overall sales? How much comes in from non-metros, and how has that performed?
Yeah, so below 10 rupee price point contributes to almost more than 65-70% to our portfolio. And that's quite significant. And definitely, from rural market, we've seen that this is sort of slowed down, particularly in September. Actually, we've seen fantastic June, July, and August. But September seems to have slowed down. So that's only a bit of concern. But actually, we are past 2 weeks in October, and we are really seeing a good trend getting picked up during October as well. And we are quite hopeful that, we also have a lot of confectionery presence, significant presence with confectionery in rural markets, which is like 1 rupee and 50 paise. And we are seeing an uptick in demand for confectionery brands in rural markets as well.
Mr. Rao, you spoke about confectionery, 1 rupee, 50 paise, etc. One of the stories that is going viral across all social media platforms right now is the advent of UPI and the impact that it's had on these 1 rupee 50 paise, confectionery, primarily because now people are paying via UPI and shopkeepers don't need to give chocolates in return for change. Have you seen any of that, or is it just social media bunkum?
Yeah, I think it's more of that, I would say. So frankly speaking, we've not really seen much of an impact. But at the same time, I must acknowledge that, yes, many retailers, in fact, organized retail chains I have witnessed using confectionery as a mode of change. And that definitely has gone down for sure. And UPI definitely would have impacted, but at the same time, we've seen, so 2 years of COVID, we've seen that schools were shut, educational institutes were not really operational, and that did overall have an impact more so on an impulse category or out-of-home category like confectionery. But now since April, we've seen demand trickling back. And we have seen newer avenues. Say, for example, e-commerce, which was not really big for confectionery, has started firing for that category as well. So, which is definitely a Q-commerce for that matter. So categories like chocolates or ice creams or confectionery, these are something where you have sudden cravings, and Q-commerce is something which is coming into play beautifully and helping us get some good growth.
All right, Mr. Rao, on the raw material side of things, things are cooling off, which is good news, right? If you could tell us, what is the total, price correction that we're seeing on palm oil prices from the peak? Give us a percentage number. If you could give us an updated price as well. And, the decline in this definitely will give you some relief on your raw material mix, right? How much of it?
Yes. So if you look at palm oils, at its peak had almost touched levels of about 170 rupees a kg, which is likely in the range of now, it's come down in the range of almost about 110, 115 rupees a kg. So which is a huge relief for the entire industry, I would say. And as far as, but at the same time, we've seen that certain other raw materials like wheat and wheat flour actually going up by almost about as much as 20%, so which is definitely a point in concern.
Oh,
so what happens to the price hike and inflation differential now? I mean, earlier I remember inflation was a little more than the price hikes that you had already taken. Now with all the factors that you're talking about, wheat has increased, but palm oil has decreased, and you've already taken some price hikes. Where does that differential stand at? Has it normalized?
So it has normalized to an extent, but then we are not really looking at rolling back prices. So there is definitely some cushion. Our way of giving back would be in terms of consumer promotions, maybe in terms of value promotions or volume promotions or price offs, or for that matter, maybe some consumer promotions. So giving some goodies free along with our packs.
Okay.
So that's how we are looking at managing the current scenario.
Could you just give us a breakup of your raw material product mix? How much of the cost is towards palm oil? How much of it is towards wheat? We could get a sense, because wheat prices, as you said, they are moved up by 20%, while palm oil prices have corrected by close to 35%. How does the whole basket, has it seen a downward revision, or because of the higher wheat prices and a couple of other products, will it be more or less flattish?
Yeah. So suppose if you were to look at categories like biscuits, So biscuits contribute almost, we have about 60% contribution coming from wheat flour, which is a significant contributor, and a 20% increase in wheat flour would actually have a huge bearing in terms of overall profitability. Whereas oil, it would vary from category to category, but the highest I would say so for cookies, where the contribution would be in the range of about 20 to 25%. So definitely it is eased off. But for certain other categories like glucose and maybe Mari, the contribution of oil would be to the tune of about 10 to 15%. So it's not really as much of a relief. If you look at categories like salty snacks, where palmolene oil contribution would be to the tune of anywhere upwards of about 30 to 35%. So, and say, for example, if you look at potato chips or bhujia for that matter, we would see that the other ingredients would contribute to the tune of about 25-30%. And so we see a huge bearing of oil cost on salty snack business.
All right, we'll take that point as far as the raw materials are concerned. Of course, these numbers are dynamic as far as the prices are concerned. If the wheat prices are lower, the overall contribution would be lower as well. Final question, Mr. Rao. Then the second quarter, from a category perspective, what was the revenue growth for the category according to you, and what is the expectation for the third quarter? We're going into festive season.